I'm Herb London, the president of the Hudson Institute, and I'd like to talk about two of my new publications, a book called Diary of a Dean and a second called The Decline and Rise or Revival of Higher Education. These two books, to some degree, are personal. They represent the changes that have occurred in higher education. I, from an autobiographical standpoint, stood in the middle of a hurricane. The hurricane reflected the great changes that were occurring in higher education at a time of enormous turbulence in this industry of higher education in America. Let me talk a little bit about what I see as a significant change. When I was a student at Columbia, going back a long time ago in the 1950s, the presumption that everyone had about higher education is that the university represented the open and free exchange of ideas. Today, I think that we have changed the university into a place where there's an orthodoxy, where you have to embrace a certain set of positions. If you do not, you face the chastening effect of your colleagues. And that, it seems to me, is distinctly inappropriate. The university was not conceived of as a church, and yet the dogma associated with university today clearly suggests that we moved in a very different tradition. There was a time in the 19th century when Charles Eliot, the former president of Harvard University, said, or was asked, why is there so much intelligence at Harvard? He said, oh, it's very easy to explain. The freshmen bring so much in and the seniors take so little out. Well, the argument that I would make today is that the freshmen are bringing very little in and the seniors are taking very little out. What they are taking out is in some ways very dangerous, in large part because all they can do is embrace the orthodoxy. And so if you ask people about global warming, well, of course it occurs. They cannot conceive of the idea that this is a hypothesis. If you talk to people about what is happening in the government of the United States, they would say, of course, the government has to expand its authority. It is absolutely essential. So when we talk about the positions that are adopted by college students today, they are entirely predictable. Moreover, not only are the positions predictable, but there are some people who fall into a special class of people within the academy. Minority students of most kinds are generally considered quite acceptable. But if you happen to be an evangelical at an Ivy League college, you've got a problem, particularly if you want to embrace the views of an evangelical. Why is it that there are some minorities that are accepted and positions that are accepted and some that aren't? Again, it falls into the category of the prevailing orthodoxy that exists in universities today. In my judgment, the changing the character of the university is having an adverse effect on the way we as the American people think about ourselves and our future. There was a time when you could pretty much count on people having 2 points of view or many points of view. This is increasingly changing because of the way in which the university is now organized. It is not coincidental that President Obama was elected in large part by the 80 to 30-year-old cohort group. This is a cohort group that by and large has been educated in our institutions of higher learning. And as I've indicated, here again, you get this sense of the orthodoxy that has penetrated the walls of the political front as well as so many aspects of American culture, whether it's the publishing industry, whether it's television, whether it's radio. All of the media seem to be infected by what I would describe as the university orthodoxy. And perhaps on that point, I ought to bring this to a close.